All right. Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. And tonight, on this Tuesday evening, we have two very special guests all the way from the DC area, owners of the DCBX, the one and only Lee and Kat.
What's up, Diamond? Thank you for having us. And
Thank you so much.
we're ready to chat, and thank you for spreading the word and keeping dance alive, online while we all try to push through COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for me, I think from with having this platform, us being talking over these past few months, I always wanted to make it certain that you two, especially, I've always wanted to have on this podcast because of the influence that you have laid, the contributions that you have given to your dance community in DC and abroad. Because if many who don't know, the DCBX, in my opinion, for the last few years, globally, I've heard of DCBX, seen from photos and videos, from friends telling me their experiences, from the visuals, and I think an event like yours, I love that it just keeps growing year after year. It keeps evolving. And I feel too is that you really listen to the attendees because it seems that every year you're pushing the envelope. And one thing we talked about as well privately is that your focus really is having an event that people can have an amazing time, but focusing really on bringing that live music aspect into your atmosphere, because I think that really separates it when you can actually have live music, live artists playing music literally 5 to 10 feet away from you and having that concert experience.
No, it's so powerful, and what probably one of our, we received an incredible honor from Mayor Bowser, 10 years of excellence for our 10-year anniversary, and we love DC and Mayor Bowser, but the mob has voted us consecutively for the last 5 years #1 Latin dance festival in the U.S. And that honor is so important to us because it's a people's choice basically. As we always say, you're only as good as your last event. And even though we've been in this business, not only as dance promoters and performers, but Kat and I have been in this industry for over 25 years. So for us, we have years behind us. But I get stressed every DCBX because I'm like, it's just one misstep, where I feel like we have to always kind of give attendees an experience they never had before, and that gets tough when everyone tries to take your ideas.
And trust me, we're definitely going to touch on that because I think it's really important.
It pushes us to come up with other stuff, so I appreciate that, guys.
But in a sense, it's kind of a homage, or maybe just giving props because they see that, again, when you have an event like yours that constantly pushes the envelope in terms of, I can see every year just from the visual standpoint, from the stage, from the performance aspect, that you really do listen to the people that attend, because ultimately that's what you need. You need your attendance, you need your fan base, you need people that believe in your event. So even to say 10 years, that really shows, because a lot of events we understand, usually in the 1 to 3 year range, we kind of understand where the events, the flow of it is going. Yeah. So to see, in just the past 10 years, everything you've been able to accomplish, but also you being a part of the community before being an organizer, shows so much. But, we can talk a lot about what DCBX has contributed, but I think it's also important to talk about, what happened before dance, or how kind of dance fell into your lap. I've heard definitely that the interviews you've had previously about your journey, but I definitely would love to hear more about you both and how dance got started.
Yeah. Well, Kat's younger and cuter, so I'll let her go first.
No, honestly, and thank you for the kind words, Diamond. It's really beautiful to hear, the appreciation side. And we really do. When we produce events, we really go through every little inch, not even just the stage that, Lee and his team mainly focus on, but even like registration and like all these things. Like we make sure like the attendee is taken care of in so many ways, and it's so gratifying to hear, you know, especially when you know, our friends come back from overseas and they're like, hey, like I was just in Timbuktu and I heard, you know, DCB, you know, people are trying to come from Timbuktu to your event because it was amazing. It's so gratifying, and it's something special, you know. So thank you for acknowledging that. And we started, I mean, you know, to be honest, like Lee and I, like it was just kind of fate that brought us together, because we had both been out of relationships, and we were like, we're done, you know, we were in really long relationships, we're done with that, we're just gonna, you know, be dance partners. And from that, like, you know, you just can't deny chemistry sometimes, and you know, so we ended up, you know, just dating, and all the other things like really just aligned. You know, Lee had amazing creativity that, like, you know, he's like, I'm gonna dream the biggest thing, and then here, like, you figure out how to do it. And I'm like, hey, well, I can organize that. Let me see like what we can do with the team, and you know, and that's kind of how like we bounce off of each other. And a lot of times when he's like, yes, I'm like, no, okay, fine, let's do it. Even our relationship, even, you know, as a married couple, for 5 years, but being together 10 years, that's just there's a little give and a little go. So it's been
and I would, you know, to add to that, I think and we've said this before, but the event really is I guess a kind of continuation of our relationship. And it grows with us and it grows through us. And that's something that I think people, it sounds a little weird, but you know, when you do something at that level of stress, and also at that level of just, there's so many parts that creating a successful event.
I mean, you could have like 10 fires all going on at one time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we don't run 4 ballrooms. You know, we run 8 ballrooms.
Yeah.
We run those ballrooms to 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, we have rooftop events. We have lobby events. You know, we found an incredible partner in the Renaissance. So it takes a very dynamic relationship for us to work together. And as the event has grown, you know, a lot of people are like, well, you know, why do you guys keep adding different things? And, you know, one thing is for us just to, you know, keep us happy, but also keep our happy. And our goal, and even though with COVID-19 this year, having to go virtual with DCBX 12 virtual, you know, we still, our goal is still 100,000 attendees by 2025. And, you know, we have some work to do. So for us, we're always reaching for that next level. And, you know, and we have an incredible team behind us. And, you know, I think at least for me, kind of on the pre, you know, I was a magician before I was Latin dancer, and you know, for me, I always loved entertainment, but I didn't actually come from an entertaining. People that know us personally know my mom and dad are not entertainers, but no one in the last 2 generations that I know of that is an entertainer. So maybe my mom and dad are telling me a little secret. Maybe
someone's lying to you about something.
On that note, this is so funny. We did our DNA, our ancestry.
Oh yeah.
You know, I have a tattoo of a leprechaun.
Okay, you got the Irish thing going on.
Okay, that's Kat. No, it's not. Anyway.
Before my time.
Yeah. So I was like, damn, you know, I'm Irish. You know, my mom's half Irish, half Polish, and my dad's more Eastern European. And then I open up that ancestry thing, and it's like, you're 8% Irish. I call my mom up. I'm like, Ma, wait, my mom. and you know, it's like once every 3 months I get an update. They're like, your DNA has updated. I'm like, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
I'm up to like 15 or 20%. The Spaniards conquered Ireland, so I'm sure there's a mix. But But the funny thing for me is like when I discovered dance at George Mason, I took this 2-credit Latin dance class. My friend Primo, who was Colombian, took me to this club called Coco Locos, and I was like, I mean, to be straight up honest, I had never seen so many ugly bald dudes dancing with that many hot women. I was just, I mean, my whole high school years, I was figuring out how to get a dove to fly out of my ass. You know, I was a magician. You know, I'm doing magic. So I wasn't exactly like trying to be the ladies' man. I was figuring out, you know, how, I mean, and just to give people a perspective, like by the time at the time I was 10, I walked into a little party store and I'm like, I'm a magician. And they're like, shut up.
Man.
And I had to be a costume character. Then I worked up to a clown. And then at 12, I'm like, I'm walking unless you let me be a magician. And then by the time I was 13, I was doing all the resorts in the Poconos. I met a buddy of mine. We were traveling. By the time we were 16, we were actually traveling across the country to magic conventions, which are like geeky dance festivals.
I've been to one.
I took Kat to one. She was so excited. I'm like, Kat, everyone is not going to be able to stop looking at you. Unless they're like an assistant, and she got chosen.
And I was chosen every single time to be like the one who's like up on the stage, like the magician's assistant. It was really cute. But yeah.
So, I mean, for me, dance was like a way to kind of, Gringuito was born through dance. That's the, and my first instructor, he called me Gringuito, which at first I was like, I know gringo, like if you a Mexican American war, like green go. I mean, it's not a happy term, but Gringuito is kind of cute. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, bro, like, why would you want to learn to dance from a white guy? It's like when people do those battles, they're like, you're so fat, you're so this. And then they're like, you're so white. They're like, bro, his business card says Gringuito. You know what I mean? Like,
I see that little balance. Like, you're like, let me just throw a little flavor in there so people know I got something.
But that was my, my beginnings. And then I saw bachata in the Dominican Republic. And that was 2005. And I said, you know what? I came home and I went to Google. I Googled bachata. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a dancer, but we're entrepreneurs. And I went to Google, and there was like Wikipedia and like one article. I'm like, bachata is simpler than salsa. Why am I the only person that's kind of seeing this? And Jorge Elizondo maybe at that point, and maybe Nestor in Australia. And then we started bachata meetups and we pushed forward. And Kat, what's your story with yours?
I mean, I've always, I'm half Salvadorian, half Peruvian. So like I grew up, with everything, but I knew like from a very young age, like I wanted to dance. I wanted to, I fell in love with like the music, and then afterwards the costumes and all that stuff. And I did a little ballroom. I literally at the age of like 15 and a half started working just so I could pay for my own private lessons. I could like really get into it. And then by 18, I was an instructor and at a small studio. And I just kind of, I knew like I had hustle in me. And that was kind of like, I hustled like 40 hours a week, and then I would teach privates after and like literally like do like 5 to 6 hours, as much as I could cram in, calculated a 15-minute drive from my job, and like, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock if people wanted a private at 11 p.m. at night. I was like, and I did that literally for like, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I'd book myself like, 18 hours. So it was nuts. And then I met Lee, and I was like, holy, like, I mean, this just kind of is too weird. It's like, and at that time, I had some really good jobs. I worked with attorneys. I worked with sports agencies. I was learning a lot on that side. But Lee was just like, hey, you want to join my circus and like go travel to Europe all over for like 2 months? And I'm like, hell yeah.
And by the way,
and we did that, and we toured, all over. It was fun.
Yeah,
we did about like 4 tours together. And every time we went, it was like 2 months of like just visiting the most beautiful places, teaching dance, spreading the word of the DC Bachata Congress, at the time DCBX, and just connecting with people. And that's really like how the grassroots part really started.
And
teaching and sharing.
Back in the day, see everyone now, these younger bachata, I hate to say younger bachata dancers, but I know we're getting older. We were in Oceanside visiting my mom, and my cousins were there, and like they used to ask us to go with them, right? And it's and we're there, and my mom's like, we're playing cards, and they don't even invite us, and I'm like, and then this Saturday I knew we were old. I'm gonna tell you why. We were here at our house. We were playing Rummy 500 and listening to Bossa on a Saturday. I was like, holy crap, we have hit middle age.
We're middle-aged now. Yeah.
But anyway, but all joking aside, these younger bacheteros, they have no idea how great they have it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say we paved the way, but we paved the way. And I'm proud to say that, because back in the day, like the beg, like I literally became a DJ because, well, it's kind of nice to be multifaceted when you're doing different things. But it was mostly because you just couldn't get DJs to play bachata. I mean, that was the honest truth.
Yes.
And the rest that has happened, you really can't. There's very few, besides Mambo Land, there's really no Latin dance festival within our net that does not have bachata. It's almost unheard of. So that's a thing. And not that we're frowning on, and people that haven't been to DCBX, we actually have brought more salsa artists than probably just about any salsa festival besides me. We've had Jerry Rivera, we had Los Adolescentes last year. We've had Puerto Rican Power.
They were amazing.
We had Frankie Reese Jr. for New Year. So we always believed in music, but also just getting creative. Like, we have the Cuban community is an incredible community in DC. So we did kind of like a Cuban experience this year with Timba. And Kat and I spent 3 weeks in Cuba about 5 years ago. Ultimately, crazy experience. Quick story where we're there with Alian Ramirez was like, we were working on doing a festival in Cuba. This is before. Before
all these restrictions.
So anyway, so we're, Alian's like, do you want to come with us to Cuba to travel and then, see the country, and then we'll try to get this festival started. And we're like, yeah, awesome. And then, so we're in Santiago de Cuba, and it happens to be during the Carnival. And it is
the
just...
it was incredible.
It's nuts,
Santiago de Cuba.
Yeah. And then we're drinking Havana Club because, it's Brugal, it's a club in Cuba. And not the stuff from Puerto Rico, like the stuff from Cuba. Started in Cuba, and then, but anyway, we're there, and there is a musician named Candido Fabre, and he very famous in Cuba, but he's also written like something like 3,000 songs.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But his thing is he does 10-hour concerts.
Oh wow!
This guy started at like 10 p.m. and the concert went to like 8 a.m. in the morning. So he keeps singing, but they switch out the back line.
Yeah.
So there's like 12,000 people in the streets, and then we somehow get on stage with Aliana, we're dancing, and then all of a sudden they stop the concert, and Aliana, and there was this Junior, her cousin, he whispers something to Candido, and he stops the concert. He's like, aquí nosotros tenemos these bailarines de los Estados Unidos, and we're like, holy crap.
We thought they were going to announce Aliana. We're like, no,
you guys, these Americans came.
They bring us forward, and Kat, what did you say?
Well, they were like, do you want to say anything to, address the Cubanos? What would you like to say? You're from America. And I'm like, oh, we love you. Okay. And then they pass the mic over to Lee.
Yeah.
And then Lee says two words, and they freaking fall in love with him.
I said, mi corazón es de Cuba. They're like,
all the beers. Everybody's throwing up beers and chanting, and it was nuts. Yeah. I mean, it was a sea of people.
And then Junior tells Candido, he's like, hey, he's a mago. So he asked me to do a magic trick in front of.
Oh man,
it was
awesome. There was a time when I was younger where like you'd be like, magic, you like doves flying out of my hair, and But that was kind of like the pre-Gringuito days. But whenever I travel internationally, I like that's the way I feel like giving back. Like sometimes we'll see kids and make like globos for them and do magic. So I always will have something on me, not expecting to do it in front of 12,000 people. But it was just crazy. And that, I mean, I know we've kind of jumped around, but I think the beauty of dance and DCBX, empowering lives by celebrating the global Latin experience, that is kind of the epitome of like the global experience of bringing people together that are Latin, maybe non-Latin, like myself, but that can come together in a non-verbal form of communication like Latin dance and do it in a way that they're not going to ask your religion or your political party. And I think that's it. That's so important. And I know, I don't want to get into politics, but I will say this, that, today, like this kind of back and forth and like defriend you. This is the United States of America, and while we do not agree with this administration by any means, everyone is welcome at DCBX, because at the end of the day, we should welcome everyone. It's just gotten a little out of hand, I think, and polarized, and we can't wait till we're able to dance safely at DCBX 13, which is August 27th to the 31st, G-Plug 2021.
I love it.
But it's so important, because that's really the essence of dance. And I feel like, you wouldn't talk to people like that on the street, because you might get your ass kicked, right? But on social media, people are
There's
so
many
quick.
trolls,
Yeah. It's crazy, but realizing, just listening to the story and how everything really started, I think it's really commendable to see that people who've been dancing or part of the dance community in some form of fashion, as long as you both have been, to actually, for you, Lee, to take that initiative forward to then create your own event. Because I'm assuming 3 years of dancing, and as well as you, Kat, realizing what you like and what you don't like. You know what the audience wants and you know what they don't want. And realizing, like you said, creating an event like DCBX that really is not nationwide, but global. Because we evidently, especially in the States, we love when international artists are able to come. We're lucky if we get one or two. But I mean, to see an event like yours annually that is pushing the envelope in terms of just bringing artists that many people would die to see, because really now can say like, hey, going to DC, I can see Joan Sariano or Toby Love. And just the list goes on, and realizing that your event, especially in the DC area, which I think in the last 5 to 10 years, honestly, has become a main staple in bachata specifically.
Yes.
Talking with various artists from Vladi, DJ Immersive, talking with Ace, Ciara, Saul from Bachata Brunch, but just realizing overall the impact that DC has had from DCBX, TSR, Bachata Brunch, other events, and kind of seeing, in my opinion, you guys do have some sort of really collaboration and really bringing premium events to dancers all over.
Yeah.
I think it's true, and even before us, you had Stuck on Salsa doing a great salsa event.
Mm-hmm.
You had Shaka with the Capitol Congress, those were events. Even I remember my very first DC Bachata. Shaka let me borrow speakers, and people. Everyone needs a step. Everyone, and many times we have to sometimes look beyond the dollar. And what I think I'm saying on our side is, it's there's so many opportunities to kind of help people, and if we can grow this industry, what we're producing, and not just at DCBX, but there's incredible, and it's not just about the events that are in the hugest hotels. Some of these socials have this intimate experience, and that's something, as our event got bigger, one of our things we were like, how can we still make it feel intimate? Because that's how it's right? And so it's interesting. You get so big, you're like, how can we make it feel small? And then you're small, you're like, how do we get so big?
Yeah.
Right.
There's one ingredient, and if there's any promoters watching or future promoters, it falls down in it, and I've been thinking about this, but it's actually magic. And what I think about that is every event tries to create magic, and many fail. And what's magic? I'll tell you what it is. It's a moment. And then for me, it happened in the event. Like, I'll be running around and I stop and I just look and I see this and I get goosebumps. Sometimes like I actually like will shed a tear or two because it's emotional.
Yeah.
And it's just this moment of just things coming together. And sometimes it's not, it might not even be in the grand ballroom. It might just be people connecting. But the point is like, how can you create magic? And that magic is what people will come back for. Yeah. And you can't just steal other people's magic. You can kind of take the ideas, but you have to come up with your own thing. and create that and make something that's truly special.
It's unique. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because to be honest, I think you both as organizers understand the networking aspect and creating the relationships with the artists that you want to work with. And, I would say a question I definitely have is from when the event first started, or even when you both, like you said, Kat, you had came in the second year, what were the lessons that you were learning? Because again, you were kind of fast forwarding from just being dancers and now really you're organizers. I mean, the relationship with your community now is different. When you initially started, did you kind of feel, was it like a bit easier transition, or were there kind of really bumps along the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of naturally grew in the organizer side because we really fell in love with producing events. And like I've said, like we're listening to we listen very closely to our audience. We always have surveys after our festivals, really in-depth surveys, and we take, all of them to heart, and we're like, what would we like to see if we were an attendee at walking through? What would you like to see from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave? Yeah. And that's always been kind of our it kind of almost, I would say, even became an obsession. We were like, with our team, we'd always be like, what can we improve? What can we improve? We do these debriefings, and as hard as stuff might be, like the little hurdles that we had to go through in the festival that seemed maybe like they were ginormous, and then after you debrief and you're like, wow, it wasn't so bad, like even hearing all the briefings and all that, that's I think where we really rose, and we were like, we're natural problem solvers, so we were like, we're definitely putting this on our number one priority list for next year, and we deliver on it. We hold ourselves accountable, our team holds ourselves us accountable. So it was tough though, I think, in the very beginning, because we love also teaching, and we still do. We still teach. We don't perform as much, but we still love the aspect of connecting with people. That local places will still travel and teach, but that's really like our baby has been DCBX.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I think for all organizers, and I shouldn't say all because I'm sure there's some that aren't, but for us, I think for me at that very first year, it was like, what, I'm gonna be the not only like I'm gonna be this crazy white guy that's gonna pull off. And people laughed. They were like, "This is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard of," and that was a catalyst for me to be like, you know what, I want to prove something, and I want to be someone, and that is a double-edged sword, because when you get through the first phase of that, like the first year was nuts. Like, I mean, it was just crazy because I had never organized an event before. 2 days before the event, the hotel was like, of course we missed some quota. I mean, I signed the contract because I was an idiot and
without reading it.
Yeah, of course.
Oh man.
Basically,
where was Kat? Where was Kat?
We needed like 10 grand, and I had like 2. And my boy Ramsey lent me $8,000. And if he didn't lend me that money, like the event would have never happened. And it was, and we missed the quota of the room. So the hotel was being a pain. And you have to find a partner in your hotel. That is so I will say, we've had many hotel experiences, good, bad, some ugly, but if you find the right partner, it will make your life so much easier. But that first year we missed the quarter. The hotel's like, well, the party has to end at midnight. I was like, oh my gosh. Midnight. I was like,
that's when like things are getting started.
The
yeah. Party's ending at midnight.
Everybody go back to your rooms. Yeah, right.
So what we did, and the couple hundred people that were there, they'll never forget this experience. I was like, all right, okay, I'm not gonna convince them. I was like, that's fine. But the salsa room was like literally half a mile away. We could afford a 15-passenger van. We could fit like 30 to 40 crazy ass dancers in that van. I have my dad. I have my boy Bobby. So I called Franco. I'm like, look, Franco, Victor, these dancers come. Obviously, people will buy drinks, but they can't pay the cover because they came to the festival.
Yeah.
They're like, they said no problem. And we literally ran shuttles every 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Craziest thing was, it would be like the funny thing about it would be like we would show up at TSR. It would be like a bachata clown car because you would open up. 45 pesos would kind of roll out of the back of the 15-passenger van. And, then we had Joe Soriano at the Salsa Room. And, that very first year, because live music was such an important component. And the other thing, and I was talking to Gogo about this, in the beginning, and it was so important, we want bachata to be like Thanksgiving dinner, right? You can't just have a dinner with turkey. You know what I'm saying? Like, turkey is good, but
you need to have everything.
Some cranberry, and we're big foodies as well.
Okay.
So in the very beginning, it was like, we have to offer people an experience that is not just one thing. DCBX on Friday, Saturday, we have 3 bachata ballrooms, right? We have essential bachata ballroom, we have an authentic bachata ballroom, and then we have the grand bachata ballroom, which is kind of a blending, right? Because the music. But I was like, damn, it'd be so cool if we can have a salsa ballroom at the first bachata festival. But of course, we obviously missed the quota. And then we're getting into the hotel, and it was like a closet. This room could maybe fit like 8 couples at the same.
Oh my God.
But I just opened it up. I think it was like the janitor's closet. And I was in there, and I was like, hey, I spoke to I was like, are you guys using this? They're like, no, man, you just, and then once you're there, you're there. So I was like, screw it. I called someone, we put 2 speakers in there, and we had a salsa room, and we made it work. And then the second year, Kat came in, we organized, and we brought it to the Gaylord, which.
That's a whole resort. It's beautiful.
Changed the game. We brought Toby Love. We had a Zouk ballroom. We had salsa. I think we had Zouk at that time.
Yeah.
Kizomba, they liked each other. Not anymore. But but Zouk and Kizomba was like, could happen in one ballroom, and it wasn't like, oh, that's Zouk, that's Kizomba.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it was incredible. It was incredible. And we just, for DCBX 12. See, a lot of organizers just cancel their events, and I understand.
We get it, yeah.
But we were like, out of sight, out of mind. We think, as a brand, it's not a good business decision, but more importantly, it's what our attendees want, and also with the hardships of COVID-19, you have suicide rates up, you have people that press, but you have the overall importance where people have to wear a freaking mask, right? And
yes,
so it's many paradoxes, but so we produced DCBX 12 and virtually, and we had artists from 35 different countries. We had DJs spinning across the world, like 4 rooms. People could choose the rooms, but we did this legacy piece, and it was so cool because we basically went back to kind of the arsenals of videos and YouTube, and we actually pulled footage and videos from every year. It was incredible to see the progression because, like Kat's sister is a filmmaker. She makes a film. She has that film forever.
Yeah.
But as an organizer, all you have is those videos in the memory. That's really it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was so cool going back and seeing those videos, but seeing like DC Bachata 1, just no stage and just.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my, and and the people that
Very
come
raw.
like the last 5 years of DCBX, like they see it as the biggest, greatest event in the US. But we started in very humble beginnings and still a small business, but it was so cool and moving to kind of just see the progression or see like Chloe dancing with Henry, brother and sister.
Yeah.
DCBX 3 or 4, now, what her and Dejan has done and just really just prolifically creating and doing some great things for the scene. But again, careers have been started at our festival. Dancers, many dancers' careers have been started at DCBX, and
movements also. Zouk really was, not really existent before the second year. Really, we invited our friend Willem Engel from Amsterdam. And he came and he taught, and he really planted the seed in people to, hey, like the U.S. is behind on this. Like we gotta move forward. And a lot of different parts. So they would go back and they'd start, Zouk in their city. But DC really grew from that also. you know, it really like now like DC is on the map also for Zouk, so that's like, up and coming also. You know, that started from just a little thing of just being like, we're gonna give you guys a Zouk ballroom and we're going to invite some instructors to this beautiful thing, you know, and same thing with having multiple ballrooms.
On that note, DCBX was the first festival in the United States to have a Zouk ballroom. DCBX was the first festival in the United States to have a Kizomba ballroom. And we were the first bachata festival, I think, in the world that, you know, had bachata with other genres from the very beginning. So those things are super important. Henry Valdera from his company was called Hot Salsa Hot. He was a salsa dancer. Yeah. He came to DCBX too. He met Willem. He learned Zouk. Rael. He learned Zouk.
Oh wow.
And then he turned to Zouk.
Yeah, and he completely. They actually performed salsa, and they like were doing that like for us in the second year, and then it was complete.
And then Riel. Yeah. Riel taught at DCBX 3, and Ashley Kent, who has District Zouk, met Riel, learned from him. So it's kind of like that, throwing the pebble across the pond. Yeah. As I'm on my second glass of wine. Thank you for that. Thank you for that metaphor. But honestly, like, it's the ripple effect, and you know, we've had people that told us that they were, you know, their lives were shot, and that's what's pushed us through many of these years. Because, like you were saying, it's not easy. I mean, what we do, and a lot of very influential people have told us what we make it look easy, and that's a beautiful compliment. We appreciate it, and we pay them a ton of money to. No, but honestly, like it's you know, it's just, again, back to the magic. It's like a magic trick, right? Always an illusion. There's always, you know, a mirror or someone behind moving something, like move the elephant in, you know what I mean? But when people are like, holy shit, there's an elephant, that's the thing that's really incredible. And that's just the magic of event production. It's always ever changing. And I think with COVID-19, you know, after doing DCBX virtual, we will always have a virtual component at DCBX moving forward. Because it's such, and we had that 4 years ago, we're like, holy crap, we should do the world's first virtual dance festival. And we got so busy creating the real life ones. Then COVID-19 came, and it's like, hey, you know that idea 4 years ago? Well, you got 4 weeks to figure that shit out. So
that was a hurdle for us, because I mean the virtual world was just something so for everybody, you know, everybody who has to, you know, really learn how Zoom really works, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and all these crazy things. So it was
I mean, it was great, Zoom, StreamYard, or these other resources. And what I realized at DCBX, you know, we have a film festival within DCBX called the Global Impact Film Festival. So we produced that virtually the week after that. We had 60 short films from filmmakers from around the world. We had these Iranian filmmakers, and I think their government was trying to like block their audio. So we were texting in StreamYard the questions and being like, you know, about your film. And then showing their response. I mean,
in the chat. It was nuts.
It was so
crazy maneuvering.
Yeah, it was so moving. And I think the one thing about this pandemic, you know, it's obviously over 230,000 people have died, and it's a terrible thing. But we can't live negatively. And for us, you know, this pandemic has taught us to slow down. It's taught us to look at things, you know, even for the film festival. You know, at DCBX, the film festival for us at the event is like welcoming everyone, you know, introducing her sister, who's the co-founder, giving the awards at the last one. And sometimes on a Saturday at about 6 p.m., we'll sneak in for 20 minutes and watch a film just to kind of immerse ourselves, because it's cool, you know, short films that are making a global difference. But this year we produced the whole thing as like production, you know, and I was like, this is so, I want to go to this thing.
No, it was the conversations that were had about like, you know, the global, you know, global awareness, and like, you know, all the climate change and everything. It's just like, you know, you're actually talking to real people, and sometimes there were up to like 20 people on an interview, and from all parts of the world. Like that is global. Now, like, you get not only the take of like the US, you know, you get the whole world in on it, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's so
we've
incredible.
really gotten a chance to really experience.
Yeah. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier. You know, DCBX is an expression and a progression. You know, Kat and I love film. And you know, her sister graduated from Loyola Marymount 6 years ago, and it was kind of like, hey, you know, we want DCBX to be the next South by Southwest. Dance is the nucleus foundation, but if we're going to grow to 100,000 people, let's be very honest, it can't just be dance, and that's a reality. And there are some you know, let's just say traditionalists that will be like, you know, same thing that people complain about South by Southwest, you know, it wasn't what it was. And
yes.
In the past, you don't evolve. But ultimately, you know, we added the film festival. Kat and I love comedy. You know, we were producing comedy shows for a while. And, you know, last year we had Sylvia Tremor, who was the first female African-American impressionist. We did years of comedy. And I'm talking Monique, Academy Award winner.
Oh, wow.
There, you know, Dave Chappelle's sister, Tony Woods. And this happened Sunday in that same ballroom. And then
where all the dancers were.
Yeah, and then 30 minutes later, we transitioned to dance shows. And then
the most hectic day of our lives. But it was gorgeous. It was glorious. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you just had to be backstage. And all of us, you know, on the team, like, you know, we really put a lot of work into, you know, into the production and what exactly we want to portray. Like, you know, we can slap our logo up and that's it. But we kind of always aim for the high mark. And we're like, no, we want this to give a whole, when you look at it, it tells a story and it tells, you know, so that was really important to us.
And, you know, like even about telling the story, it's like Cirque du Soleil for us. And that's why back to being the hotel, being a partner. The second people walk into the hotel, the festival starts, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even the second they walk off the plane. Like if you say this is the San Francisco XYZ festival, and your festival is 60 miles away on the outskirts of Oakland, people are like, "Damn, where's San Francisco?"
Yeah.
I mean, international people don't know the difference. You know, you're like. And see, you can play that game once or twice, but people will be like, "Nah, bro, that is not San Fran. That's the you know, you gotta Greyhound it to get to that part of it." I mean, so for the last, you know, we were at the Gaylord, we were at the Washington Hilton. These are not places to produce events. You know, we had a hotel. I won't say which hotel, but they call our event the black sheep of all the events they did. It was a demeaning thing. But it was just, I took it as a compliment. We did. It's like, look, because you don't have these type of events.
Yes.
Pushing the boundaries. Thank you very much. And we'll bring our business somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the Renaissance Marriott, you know, Renaissance is such a great brand. Live life to cover. The Renaissance in DC is the largest Renaissance in the world. You know, we are locked there through 2025, not only for DCBX in August, but
New Year's.
Our DCBX Ultimate New Year's Eve is, you know, like DCBX, but also like spring break kind of combined. So
I mean, yeah. I mean, New Year's Eve, partying, drinking.
Also,
I mean, the hype of just New Year's Eve alone is magical in its own thing, and then put like 4,000 people in a hotel together.
Yeah.
Who love music and love dancing, you know, until 8 a.m, and you have a party.
Yeah, New Year's is a unique dynamic because about half of those are like the DCBX crowd that we usually get for New Year's. Half is just kind of like an international Latin. You know, we even like we were at breakfast and there was this they were a Middle Eastern family and they're like, yeah, we're from Houston, and we heard about this DCBX New Year's and I'm like, oh, you guys dancers? They're like, no, we're not dancers. We just heard it was a great party. I was like, damn. I was like, man, we should give our marketing director a raise. Oh, we're the marketing directors.
Perfect.
There you go.
But you know, that's really a beautiful thing because they were coming for the party. We actually have a Persian ballroom.
Yeah.
So they were excited because we have a Persian ballroom, and you know, but they were like, oh wow, we're gonna have access to all the other ballrooms. I was like, yeah, we don't segregate the ballrooms. You could go
Go
Go to
everywhere.
any
Yeah,
ballroom
hop
you want.
around.
So that's the inclusive, nature of what we created, and from the beginning, I think our goal is, number one, to put smile on people's faces. Number two, to do, to make the impossible happen.
Yeah.
No, under any crazy circumstance. Whether it was
Mhm.
this year getting Jordan Soriano there, to over the years, figuring out how we're gonna tell 3,000 people in our ballroom the 8th year that Jerry Rivera couldn't get on his flight because
Mm.
he didn't pay his taxes for Lavos kids, and you're expecting to see him, and you hate me now.
Mhm.
That was
And then
crazy.
basically having him perform the next day.
Yeah.
These are things you learn from, and you just roll with the punches. And that's just kind of the life of being an event organizer. But having heart, and remembering, and staying humble, because we, like I said, if people stop coming, if people stop having that energy and love, we're just two people with ideas, and,
Yeah.
and a team of beautiful people behind us, because we have a great, incredible team that, if it was just Kat and I,
Mhm.
it would be impossible. And in fact, even at DCBX, we see each other in the morning, we do a team breakfast. We hold two very different hats because we have different sets. So we see each other on stage in the morning, and then at like 3 to 4, it used to be like 6 to 7 a.m., sleep for 45 minutes. We have gotten to a point now where we go to sleep at about 3 to 4 a.m. because I always say, unless there's a fire, we had one fire alarm once. They woke us up.
Yeah.
They
Literally, the fire
evacuated
alarm
the ballroom.
was on.
Someone was using like a vape pen. I'm like,
we know about those people.
there's a fire. I was like, holy, trying to get to sleep and there's a damn fire. But beyond that, like we believe in our team to get the job done, and that's the key. Find people around you that
and
believe.
that took us a long time to actually get to that point. I think, at a certain stage, you realize, like, I can't do everything and provide the same quality. So we really, at one point we were like, hey, we really, it was just me and Lee and, a few people here and there helping us out, like, the day of the event. And we really started like brainstorming. We're like, we really need a team. We need a team. How do we delegate? Like, me and Lee were like, how are we going to really delegate and be able to pass the baton to somebody and still keep like the DCBX spirit there? That's the tough thing, right? And so we figured that out. We got an amazing team. Every year we have interns and volunteers, and we have a crazy volunteer program that gets about 100, and it has been like over 100 volunteers, sometimes 200. It's funny how many people volunteer.
Yeah.
But the team, really, the delegation part was a big hurdle, and something we really pivoted, I think, that in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
So,
anyone that's watching that wants to produce something, the bigger you get, the more you have to delegate. It's hard. It's let go because it's your baby, but you just can't be everywhere, and you have to learn. You have to learn to delegate.
No, absolutely. And realizing too, when you talked about humble beginnings of understanding, like you understand and I understand, us coming from salsa backgrounds, realize how should I say, when salsa, before bachata was around, salsa was everything. Literally, you go to a salsa congress, that's all there was. You would rarely hear bachata.
right.
We both understand the times when literally bachata was in a small little room, or if it wasn't, you maybe got 2 or 3 plays out of a whole night.
Right.
But then kind of fast forwarding and just seeing really how that quote of bachata's taking over really hit. For me, being a salsero from New York, and just seeing how bachata really took almost every city. And what I think helped was the atmosphere. The salsa crowd was definitely different than the bachata crowd. And like you said, Lee, earlier, of bachata really, for other people, it was more eye appealing because it felt easier.
Yeah.
It was much easier to digest. But
Right.
then actually having an event like the Sydney Bachata Festival, which was the first one with Nestor, Rodney, George, and other people involved, like you had talked about previously, and me, myself, working with George, how much I appreciate not just the event of the Dallas Bachata Festival, but the organization. Because just like you talk, Kat, what really separates events from others is the organization factor. I've talked this a quick side story before I get to a little fun segment I have. I talked about this on a previous episode with my friend Mario B of the interactions as a videographer having with a DJ and understanding when a DJ also is in charge of having his own event. And the conversations that you can have with them can you almost wonder a question sometimes. I would say as an organizer as you are, I know sometimes you might just get just some weird requests or just things from either the people you work with or attendees, but me having an interaction with a DJ kind of letting me know about how his own confidence in his DJ skills were lacking, but his event was amazing because it was a party atmosphere, but it was heavily disorganized. And that put me in a kind of a whirlwind because I realized I no longer had the same relationship with these organizers because when you're media based, we're much closer, except for like an attendee. The same conversations I have with a person who's attending an event is not the same I'm going to have with people like yourself. When you guys are focused on media, you want to know what's happening here, what's happening, so we can give the best quality and the best visuals for a mainstream audience. But then talking with the teams within these events and realizing that it really takes everyone to be on the same page in order to have a successful event. And like you talked earlier, Lee, about realizing that with DCBX, over time, it evolved from just a small stage into an actual stage with lights or no stage.
But bro, there were no stage. I didn't even turn I saw the first video. I was like, we didn't even turn the damn lights on my channel.
Oh man.
I was like,
but I mean, it's a lesson learned because again, as organizers, you kind of learn year after year. Okay, this works, this doesn't. Yeah. But something I wanted to ask before we get into this next segment is, and I could see the little smirk, was realizing that other organizers started seeing your formula and kind of, you could sense, copying it or trying to reinvent it. For me, I kind of want to ask, what were those signs that you saw or you kind of realized at the point, like, okay, what I'm doing is working, but I'm seeing other people really try to just like take this method in a sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
No. You don't have to put any names, of course.
There are quite a few of them under the bus. But look, I'll say this. And again, I'm a guy from Brooklyn, so
I respect it. We're from New Yorkers, we're honest.
I'm gonna tell it how it is, and at the end of the day, look, we all learn from one another in some aspect, right? Like, yes. For me, going to the Reno Bachata Festival that first year, seeing that it was plausibly possible, and then also seeing what they did gave me the inspiration to be like, wow, this can work. That was Reno. We can kind of do something similar in DC. And the seed was planted.
Yeah.
But there are people that will just literally like straight up, copy a concept. And you can't put a patent on a ballroom name or a name of something, let's just say. But at the end of the day, I'll just say, catch us if you can. Because here's the thing.
I love it.
Moves like whoosh.
Look, we will continue to evolve.
Yeah.
I hope they keep chasing, because at the end of the day, that's going to make us try to get to the next level. And below them, there's the next people that are going to be chasing, because we're all chasing a dream, and everyone's dream is a little different.
And it also, I mean, it's a beautiful thing. Also, competition is a beautiful thing because it pushes the scene.
Yes.
Everything that you do, and then it causes a chain reaction, and we just keep getting better and better. A lot. When I was dancing bachata, when we when we started dancing, even like you said, like they would play one bachata here and there, and actually I wouldn't even dance bachata. Like sometimes we're like everybody's break song, right? Everybody would
yep. Like cha-cha is everybody's break song.
Exactly. It's crazy. It's like, you know, to see it like from that stage, and now it's like there's a jam-packed ballroom that people can't even squeeze into anymore. So you know, wanting to hear that music, wanting to dance to it, wanting to see artists perform live to bachata also has been such a big thing. Right. You know, it sparked a lot of even when we did the it's interesting, we were actually the ones who produced the first bachata night at TSR.
Right.
We were and we had to do some convincing.
Yes, we started we started our own bachata Wednesday, and then down, and then TSR started it, and they had a venue. Now, we
were like on for the first year, we were like producing it every single Wednesday. It was beautiful.
But this just shows the evolution of things, right? Yeah. Nightclub, we didn't, and they continued with the idea, and they continued for 7 or 8 years. That was their biggest night of the week. Yeah. And that's a great thing for bachata. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, we are all pushing, and if you get lazy and you get complacent, then your product is going to look that way. And for us, you know, our gift, I believe, is in producing some of the best events in the world in terms of Latin dancing. You know, last year at DCBX 11, we had 50 states and 36 countries represented. You know, close to 6,000 attendees, and some of 90% of them are there for dance. About 8% of them are there for the film festival. We have an entrepreneur conference called DC Accelerate. You know, the Accelerate entrepreneur side. We're working on an outdoor component called the DC Flavor Fest that we've been trying to do for the last couple of years. We produce
shutting down a DC street. Right. That's real. Yeah. That's a real hurdle right there.
Because if you're at 100,000 people, I mean the Renaissance is a great place, but you know once yes, we had 6,000 people, but they're all not in there at the same time, right? Exactly. Like we had Luis Vargas. Okay, we have Luis. You know, we had a couple thousand people come for the concert. We had Los Adolescentes, another. So, you know, you have about 3,000 to 3,500 dancers that are there for the 4 days, but each night we're flexing in, different people. So at the end of the day, the outdoor component is really important because it's going to help us not only, you know, what are the two things that really will grow any event, like the common denominator for any person that maybe is not a Latin dancer, and it's two things. I'll tell you what they are. It's food and it's music. Latin food, I don't care who you are. I don't care. And Kat and I have done corporate events in 800 cities around the world. We have been in the most podunk places in the U.S. You will find a Mexican restaurant in every corner of the U.S. I don't care where you are. So food is a big thing. And music, you know, Latin culture in general, what a beautiful thing that you have some of the best food in the world. You have pop culture, you have music. So we're like, if we can take this to the streets and give people food, give them music, but then say, hey, over there at the Renaissance, there's 4,000 crazy people. 4 days.
You liked a little bit of what you saw.
And if we can get
hold your horses,
those 30 or 40,000 people that are going to come outside for that free music outdoor festival, get 5% of them to be like, holy crap, or even 2% or 1% of them. So walk into the door, that's another 500 to 1,000 people are going to take things to the next level. And it's a funnel. You know, it's like the same thing with the evolution of bachata. I love the traditionalists that are like, if you're dancing bachata, you should learn the roots of it. I will tell you that is ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you why on just the base. People that come into any scene, it's just the same thing with this polarized thing. You cannot force someone, like if you go to the movies, do you have to learn the history of the director? Who the hell cares? Some people may want to learn it. And so let's look at this funnel of how we grow our industry. Okay, top part, you look at what kind of central bachata, and this is why bachata has propelled kind of further than salsa, is because it's continued to evolve. Salsa's heyday was, you basically had you had Mambo, you had the Johnny Pacheco years, you had the 60s and 70s with Fania, then the 80s and 90s, Frankie Reese, and since then, it's just, there was that salsa thon thing, which I thought was, but it's just
That
like
was very
not a lot of people kind of, and then there was this kind of polarizing. Oh, well, we don't do timba, the Cuban thing. Like Cuban salsa, like to me, the happiest music. Like that comes on and like just even if you're not even even a bachatero's like, oh, damn, what?
You just feel it. It's the music.
But if you look at the funnel, so every time a DJ creates a remix, and don't get me wrong, a lot of them are terrible, but many of them are amazing. Every time they change an Ariana Grande,
oh man! So wait, question. So are you a fan of these bachata remixes?
Oh, I love them. I'm going to tell you why. I love them because they give an opportunity. They are the food festival of the outdoor world for the Latin dancing. Because back to the fun, it's going to bring general people that maybe never Latin danced before. They're like, they're like, damn, that's 7 rings, but people are kind of stepping 3.
Like, what? Yeah.
So, like, people are like, oh, they're like, baby. So now, I will say that's the beginning, right? But the more people that we start up here with is the more we'll end up with down here. And I think as people come into the scene, yes, it's important to learn the culture of a dance, but you can't force things on the general public just because. And that's the thing that kind of, I think, is slowing down. I love the Kizomba industry, but those guys, that is a polarized community. And if you look, Kizomba should be way further than Zouk. You look, the average person sees Zouk dancers, it looks like they're on LSD. Let's be honest. People are like, what the hell is that? But the Zouk community is growing bigger than the Kizomba community because the Kizomba community, urban kids is in Kizomba. You can have Kizomba. Who the F cares? We have to push this forward. And if you want to be a traditionalist, be a traditionalist. But realize your parties are only going to get to a certain amount of people. And if you're happy with them.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to get aggressive, but
no, I appreciate it. I think it really shows again that your event is really about inclusivity.
Yes.
And making sure that everyone is invited and is cooperating, because understanding that, like you said, as an organizer, you can have a bias, but that bias doesn't work financially for you. If you have a bachata event, give or take, some of those bachateros or bachateras are actually well-versed in other styles. So when you're able to say, hey, you like bachata, but I heard you like Zouk. We got Zouk teachers here. We have a Zouk room.
Yeah, bro.
Or just get started on that journey. And they might, be scared to try it, but it's like, hey, just get started. Like, just sink your teeth into it just for a little bit and see what the possibility could be. And it could be life-changing, like Rael and, all these people that have passed through. And the other thing is, with bringing people together, it's about okay, you have your opinion, but it's I have my opinion too. And we need to just be all together in on this and push forward, push your genre forward.
Push it forward. And we, there are very few festivals in the U.S., us, Reno, Phoenix, a handful of festivals that bring headliners, not just in salsa, but in Kizomba and Zouk. And the Kizomba and Zouk artists are the ones that tend to cost more money because they're all in Europe or Australia or freaking New Zealand. I was like, New Zealand. I'm like, put them in a boat, get them here 3 it's like a $4,000 flight, So, I mean, the thing is those are the things that I think is important, is giving people choices. We took so much heat when we separated the bachata ballroom. People are like, separating the industry. I said, no, we're not separating the industry. We are giving our attendees what they want. And every year, in our survey, it's like, did you like the mix in the grand ballroom? And it's always not enough authentic. Too much sensual, not enough sensual. I was like, damn. I'm like, So it's like we have, not only do we have 8 ballrooms at the Renaissance, but we have actually turned hallways into ballrooms. Like we have taken so we have this one in between the ballrooms. We created this,
and it's a huge space.
Yeah, we this year we called it the Cuban Experience, and we had all this like decoration, the dance floor. We had DJ spinning hip hop, reggaeton, but we also had different genres out there. And for us, it's like if our attendee wants to hear authentic bachata, why have to deal with putting them in a ballroom where they may get it, 30% today's general market? Why not give it to them 95%, and they can get merengue, and they have their authentic bachata ballroom. And in the same essence, the central bachateros. See, don't blame us, blame the DJs, and blame the musicians, because as event organizers and even as dancers, like back in the day, we had urban bachata. That was our sort of bachata, right? So we love Bachata Heights, right? So it was like kind of like a lot of more hip hop motion. The central bachata with the popularity of Zouk, but these are the DJs that are remixing it and the dancers that are dancing it. Yes, does central bachata look like exactly what bachata is? No, but at the end of the day, it's a fusion, and
absolutely,
and it's cool.
And it's cool.
I mean, again, yeah, it is. It's eye appealing. It's the attention grabber for sure.
And the other thing I wanted to add maybe is like also when we the big thing with DCBX, and this is something like we always, whenever we vet an artist to come to our festival, like we are very particular in, hey, give us the 411 about this artist. Like, do they social dance? Are they friendly with people? Like add to the event, or are they going to be divas and take away from the event?
Yeah.
And that is so key, because there's some artists that you walk up to them like, no, I don't, I won't take a picture with you, or I have this is my standard, and this and this and this and this, and it's like, hey guys, that's great. I mean, I understand this. We have them too, but like we also have a standard to our audience. Like our audience wants like to be like, they want to get to know you. They want to experience you. They want to be able to social dance with you. And some of the newer, some artists have come in and they've been the ones who are like, well, I'm only gonna, I'm gonna just party in my room with my friends, and I'm not gonna go down to the ballroom until 7 a.m. every single night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm not gonna appeal to my audience that I just taught a workshop for that want to dance with me. Wow. And this is the like number one thing. We have artist coordinators for bachata, salsa, zouk, and kizomba, and it's always the number one thing. We're like, are they going to be a good asset to our audience? Are they going to serve our audience? So that goes from our team all the way to even the artists that we choose and the people we work with.
And on that note, when you're doing a weekender and you have 3 artists and one of them doesn't dance all weekend, that's pretty ground. But when you have 60 to 70 artists in 8 ballrooms, people could you cannot see them all weekend. And we used to just have one coordinator. We used to be the coordinators. Then we went to one coordinator, and then we're like, you know what? We need our team. We need team members that have the pulse of that genre, because the kizomba artists are going to be, the kizomba coordinator is from the kizomba community.
In the ballroom.
And they're going to be in that damn kizomba ballroom just about all weekend. So if they don't see someone, they're going to be like, yo, XYZ, they barely danced all weekend, And so this is the things you start to learn. And I will say most of the artists that we have are incredible, because, we do our homework. But there was a bad apple every now and then, and they come once, and
there is an argument. I mean, we were artists and performers also, and there is an argument. Okay, like you're tired, you're traveling on the road, like this and this, but you have to remember, you signed up for this job, and people want to see you. It's like as if you become an actor and you do all the work and you don't want to go to the movie premiere. You have to show up. Like this is the thing that you signed up for, and
exactly.
And if people want to dance with you, like you have to serve your people. That's
exactly.
That's why you're in that position that you're in, because of the people.
And I will tell you, as CEO and COO, your ass ain't tired, more tired than us.
That's right.
Oh no, that's a fact. That's
or registration or I love how people are like, where's the bathroom? I'm like, damn. It's so funny because usually I have to pee and I've just been running around. And I'm like, you know what? I got to go myself. So I'll just, I'm like,
personally, of course.
I'm like, can you people read damn signs? It's like, oh,
man.
yeah. I can take you to the bathroom. Let's go.
No, I definitely get it, understanding what organizers and even media people myself. I have the experience of literally not sleeping for about 39 hours, editing footage, putting it, and everybody's like, you need sleep. I need to get my job done.
Yeah.
Then I can get some sleep. But now this allows me to transition into a segment that I love doing called The Randoms, which is 10 questions that's more geared to understanding both of you with dance relations, but also without, kind of getting to see what you guys are about. And you, of course, being a married couple, I love this segment. I'm married myself. And I definitely love having two people on this to kind of see if we have similar answers or different answers.
Okay, cool.
All right. The number one is, what is your favorite food?
What's our favorite food? Holy,
we're big foodies.
We are huge foodies.
I know, because I'm actually part of the group that you guys have. I love watching you guys cook.
Yeah. Oh my God, our favorite food. I can't even narrow it down. I mean, type of food, like I think definitely we love Thailand food, you know. Like we we actually spent a long time in Thailand, and we actually took cooking classes in Chiang Mai. So we just love like Thai food.
Yep. And then of course she's forgetting her own heritage, but Peruvian.
Oh.
I mean, Peruvian culinary cuisine is like top notch.
You got ceviche, you got lomo saltado.
Oh, lomo.
You have chifa, which is a fusion. It's like that's basically like their form of Chinese food, but it's a fusion between Peruvian food, Japanese, and Chinese. So yeah, Peruvian food is definitely one of our favorites. And if I can just do a little plug here about the hot sauce, since we're talking about food.
Absolutely.
You know, I, for the last 2 or 3 years, have been dabbling with making hot sauces. And it's so funny because it just started, we built this 20 by 40 foot garden here at our house during quarantine. And it was like therapeutic. It was like building some structure and seeing something grow, and something I've never done before. But make a long story short, for the last couple of years, I've been making my own hot sauce. And then at the festival, we have our Chef Ed, who's incredible. I would have the hot sauce. And then, they were just kind of busted on me, but they're using we call it Gringuito sauce. So they're using the Gringuito sauce. They were like, yo, Gringuito, your hot sauce is much better than your dancing. So I took that as a compliment. But anyway, actually Thursday we're going to production. So we're launching Gringuito sauce. We have three flavors, and this has been such a cool experience for us because like we are doing it super grassroots. Yeah. We went to Brooklyn to visit my grandmother, came back, went through Lancaster, picked up 230 cases of 5-ounce what they call woozy bottles, and we submitted our recipe. So we'll be selling on shakethatup.com on Apple. And we have 3 flavors. We have pineappleito, which is a pineapple mango fusion. We have a Cranberry Holiday Hot, which is basically a cranberry strawberry. My gringo and gringas out there, American holiday food is bland as hell. Let's be honest. So Cranberry is like literally a hot sauce to spice up your holidays. Yeah, my boy Michael, he's been actually while Michael's giving a shout out. The cilantro sauce, we were trying to come up with a name, and I'm like, we used to call it cilantro nero, but I'm like, I don't know. And then Michael, he's like, bro, why don't you call it cilantro Sancho? I was like, what's a Sancho? He's like, well, a Sancho is kind of like a slang word in Mexican. In some cultures, it's kind of a joke, like a chistosa, but it's like, hey, if you don't take care of your wife, the Sancho will come in and sleep with her. Dun, dun, dun. So the whole joke is like cilantro Sancho is like, like the sauce is going to make love with your palate.
Oh man, I like it. I like that.
So it's a cilantro based hot sauce. We've created these characters. So there's going to be comedy. We're going to use some AR technology. So we're super excited. And it's going to be the only hot sauce in the world that also teaches people the Latin dance. Yes. Which, again, goes back to the common denominator, growing our scene. So people will be able to learn a quick little dance move. And who knows, they might end up at DCBX or go to a party in New York or wherever the hell they're going to be. We'll be selling Gringuito sauce worldwide. So we're launching that literally this week, and we'll be shipping by the holidays. So
awesome. I'll definitely tell you this. You can definitely count me in after this interview. I would love to get more info because I'm definitely a hot sauce lover myself.
By the way, we put up a poll, and someone was like, "Why don't you call it white heat?" I'm like, "Nah, bro."
No, it doesn't have the same. It doesn't have the same. You know.
Yeah.
So the next question would be, what would be your favorite, I would say, go-to song? You're at your event, you have time to dance, and is that one song that you just got to go out on the dance floor to?
Oh,
That's...
I know my song.
Okay.
You want to guess it? It goes back to our DR days.
Oh, I know. Besito, besito.
Okay.
Oh yes, definitely. We used to go to DR like literally like, I mean, we did I think 4 years, 5 years.
That's Luis Miguel de la Margue, right?
Luis Miguel de la Margue. We literally went like 5 years in a row.
Yeah. Well, a lot of we co-produced with Vesa as with West Side. Vesa had this Dominican Dome Bachata Festival.
Yeah.
And Luis Miguel, Vesa, they wanted some more money, and then we're outside of Boom nightclub, and then like Luis Miguel has this like, I don't know, they literally their manager has like a freaking gun, and they were like
we want that money.
Yeah, they told Vesa like, we need like, you know, they wanted like
we
another
need more money.
$1,000, and Vesa was like, he's like cursing with them, he's like, we're not gonna give it to you, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Right now, you turn around, you know, and Vesa's like, he's like, don't worry, they'll come in. I'm like, I don't even care if he performs, I just don't want to die.
Yeah.
The club, and of course he played Besito Besito, and
that's my favorite.
I will say for me, it's and we just, you know, we brought him twice. You know, we're probably more sensual bachata fans.
Okay.
But, you know, it's just those songs, Loco de Amor by Luis Vargas, you know, the guitar solos in that song, and then just to see him take that Hennessy bottle and
he did live at DCBX, DCBX 11.
So I would say Luis Vargas, Loco de Amor for me, and
All right, perfect. Next one, you might have maybe given the answer, but what would be your dream vacation destination?
Oh,
I mean, we were just talking, you know, we love Asia. It's just, you know, for us, you know, being dancers, like, we're not the type of people that are going to go on vacation and dance for 5 days, you know, because it's tired, we're getting old, you know, our shoulders are clinking.
Not that old.
But what I love about Asia is like you can still find a Latin spot, but there's depth of culture. So, you know, we did 5 countries in Asia last year, but a couple on the bucket list is, at least for me, is Japan, South Korea, and
Singapore. I think Japan is definitely there. I think a place that I've always wanted to go to is Egypt. I always have wanted to go to Egypt, and we had an opportunity at one point when we were traveling and doing our tour, our international tours.
There was that festival that was happening.
That's what I'm talking about. We literally were invited to a festival in Egypt, and literally right at, like, you know, as soon as we got confirmed, not like a couple days later, like, it got canceled because there were a bunch of revolts. So I'm one of my best friends and my bridesmaids, she's from Egypt, and I'm always like, we're going tomorrow, like, we're down, ready to go.
Awesome. Next one, it has to definitely do with DCBX. What would be the funniest moment or something just crazy happen? Like you said, you know, organization is key, but there's always those moments that something just goes haywire or not as planned. Will you have any of those moments?
Whew, if only we had another hour or two.
Any of those moments.
Oh my god!
But like a good magic trick, we hopefully didn't have to see it.
Man, well, the Jerry Rivera thing was a big one in our
that was one. Even as the greatest, even Houdini was like, bro,
that
there's only so many things you can do. I would say for me the Jerry Rivera was was a big one. That was definitely tough.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think maybe it's not DCBX, but the DC Flavor Fest when we produced.
I was just thinking about that.
Oh my God. So we've actually produced an outdoor event before, and it's called the DC Flavor Fest. We had a lot that we totally
Yeah.
up into like booths, and it was outside. And then literally on the day that it was scheduled, we had performers.
Monsoon, bro.
We had a freaking monsoon.
It wasn't
Wow.
that
like
sideways rain.
Yeah, it was that sideways
Oh, wow.
hurricane type weather, and that was, I think, one of kind of the key moments of like that really tested us as producers, where we were like kind of like, hey, like, do we call this thing? Do we call the concert? Because the concert.
Yeah, so the concert. This is crazy. This concert was Luis Vargas.
It was Luis
And
Vargas.
this was 6 years ago, right?
It was our first time producing an outdoor event.
Yeah. And
it was nuts.
If anyone ever does an outdoor event, I'm going to save you a lot of money. There's something called rain insurance. Of course, back then, there is weather insurance. In fact, for all my promoters, you don't even have to steal this idea because I'm going to give it to you. You can actually insure weather insurance on an indoor event.
Yes.
Meaning you can play the cards. Like, for example, New Year's, we always take snow insurance, right? Because if, for example, it snows an XYZ amount, like you will get paid and the event doesn't have to cancel. Well, anyway, we didn't know about all that, but now, and I'll never forget, like, you know, we
had shows literally lined up from like 10 a.m. until I think like 8 o'clock. Like Luis Vargas was going to just close out with a massive full band on a beautiful stage.
It's like slow motion. You know, we owe them the other half of the deposit, which is thousands of dollars. We have already lost thousands of dollars because obviously an outdoor festival, when it rains,
where it's raining, even a poncho won't save you type weather.
And the manager, the manager of this venue, there was some lightning in the distance, and he saw that it was a struggle, and he turned to us. He said, "Look, I could call this and cancel it right now, and everyone would have to leave, and your artist won't perform, and you won't have to pay them the balance." And this is this is really a testament to, I think, who we are as because it's you have to do the right thing, but you know, you have $5,000-6,000 that you're gonna, you know, burn. The money is like
it's done,
right? And you know, you looked out to that crowd and there was a couple hundred crazy ass people in the pouring rain, just looking, waiting for Luis Vargas. And we said, "Nah, bro, we're in it." And we handed Luis Vargas' manager the money. Luckily, he didn't have a gun because it was here in the U.S. Maybe he did. And anyway,
and he performed
and it was crazy.
Rain.
Yeah, and you know, and this year at DCBX, we had him come back. You know, and if we would have stiffed them, even though in the bigger picture it would have been completely fine because there was lightning.
We could have had that option. Like that was a clear option. We could have gone that route, or we could have gone the right way.
But those couple hundred people will never forget it. Just like at DCBX1, we figured out the shuttle. So hurdles, you got to figure out how to jump or you know, get a big ass umbrella.
I think this next question would be a lot more easier. What would you consider your spirit animal if you had one?
Oh, spirit animal.
Oh, I like that.
Whew.
We love Sedona when we did a lot of spiritual things. Spirit animal.
I think I have mine, and the only reason why I have mine is like whenever we're traveling, whenever we're really busy and moving, like at least for the last couple of years, like this has always been like prevalent, and then basically it's a spider, and I always have seen spiders. Like when we're traveling, I'm like, oh my god, there's a little tiny spider, big spider. Like there was one time we were going into our hotel room, and for some reason we were separated. I think you were doing a different show, and I was doing another show. And I get to my hotel and I'm talking to Lee on the phone, and there's a spider literally on like the number to my room. Like my room was like room 110 in the Marriott, and the spider was just sitting there. And ever since like that time, like spiders just always show up. And then I was like, okay, let me like digest like what exactly this means. I just keep seeing the spider, and it's kind of like this beautiful message that's weave your own way, like weave your own web. It's,
weave your own destiny.
Weave your own destiny. And I always kind of kept to that. So that's mine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough. For me, that's a tough question. The second you said that, I remembered the spider for cat. We actually had animal totem cars, to be honest with you, sitting in our other room. And I had gotten this when we were doing some spiritual work. I was getting a crow, which is interesting, which is a blackbird. And there was all this kind of really cool. At first, I was when I read about it, it was like, actually, I'm like, before I read about it, I'm like, oh man, crow, like,
it kind of seems dark.
And negative. Yeah. But they're incredibly intelligent animals, and they really they kind of, like, no matter what, will get whatever they need to get done within their flock, quote unquote. So that, I would say, the crow or the raven. And we had done this spiritual training in Sedona, and then we had done this training, and then we went to like 4 or 5 different places, and I swear on my grave, there was like a black bird that was flying around wherever we were. And I was like, what? This is crazy. Just like the same thing with the spider. So yeah. We're both like, we're basically Halloween animals. Happy Halloween.
No, I definitely, I love it, the spider and the crow, because a lot of people I talk to, they always go with the tiger or panda. But hearing that, I really like the research and the intrigue in that. Next one would be in terms of the DCBX, and I think this will help a lot of future performers. What is a big don't as a prospective performer, a person wanting to perform at the event? Like you said previously about performers, things you really don't like, and what's a really big turnoff for you as organizers?
Oh, bro, I got it. That took me 1.2 milliseconds. Hey, bro, I'm artist. Hey, bro, we've heard about your festival. We're so excited about coming. Look, you don't even have to pay us. Oh, okay, cool. You have a following? Yeah, great. You just have to pay. Just take care of a hotel and our flight, and we're good. Okay, let me break this down for you. DCBX is a great brand, and we're doing well, but we ain't Southwest Airlines.
Yeah.
Which means that those things have a cost. So just for the general first-time person that's coming to the event as an artist or trying to get booked, if you're coming anywhere in the U.S., an average flight, $200 to $250, right? You're 2 people, that's $500. The Renaissance, we're at like about $160 a night. That is $1,000 investment, because this is a business.
Yes.
In many industries, we started something called the Rising Stars, which was, you could come to the event, we will give you a pass, you will teach a class, we will not pay you, and you will get an opportunity to network and get your name out at the Bachata Festival, what I think is one of the top 10 Latin dance festivals in the world, because that is an opportunity for you, because we can help your career. And if you don't like it, don't come.
Yeah. About the dollar and all that kind of stuff, but like, even for Lee and I, like, there were many of those opportunities that we were like, that we went through. So we went through that whole thing also, like, you do have to get your name out there in every way possible.
Yeah. You have to look beyond the dollar. Yeah. And you have to be smart. And, I'll give you an artist who's on DCBX On Demand, and they contacted us like in July, which is Azelle and Cindy. And I had heard of them in Europe, but, at that point, it's like a month before the event. And I'm like, bro, I'd love to have you guys. And Azelle's like, you know what? We want to be part of the event. I want you to see what we can do. We're going to get there. If we can share a room, to us, he got it. And that's an artist that we signed for next year. That's an artist that is on DCBX On Demand. And if he would have been like, oh, just cover my flight and my hotel, I'm like, look, you called us. If you call us, you want the opportunity. Let's if we call you, then then maybe it's negotiable.
Yes, Right.
If you have to Instagram message us, you know, this is a business, and you know, careers have started at DCBX, many, and we've put in the blood, sweat, and tears to get that done. So you can't
to get that audience there. Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing I'll add is for performers and people that are upcoming is keep your performances to 2.5 minutes. I'm sorry, you could be doing flips and tricks and but please, like, you know, like a lot of times we'll get artists and their performances are beautiful. We keep, you know, but they're like 3-4 minutes for an audience to sit through. You know, the attention span is just always getting smaller and smaller. So 2.5 minutes, and then the other side is just like hitting on that professionalism, guys. Like we had this whole discussion with Adolfo when we did the
DCBX virtual.
DCBX virtual. He was part of that, and they had this whole conversation about like the ego is leading the scene right now, and I deserve, and I, you know, no, actually, this is an opportunity, and you got to remember humble, and you have to put yourself in that organizer's shoes, being like, hey, they've sacrificed a lot, like, what can I do to add to that event and give to the people? Like, that's the whole reason why you do it. Not for, you know, not for people to be taking pictures with you and that kind of thing. That's, you know, that's one thing. Like the fame and all that is glorious and beautiful and looks shiny and pretty. But you really are there to help people move forward. Yeah. So remember that part.
Yeah. And in other industries like corporate events, you know, as an entertainer, when you go to an event where you have an opportunity to potentially get booked by corporate buyers, you pay to go to that event.
That's
like,
true too.
I don't mean you pay to get there. I mean,
you're paying
fee to get on their stage. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, if we want to stay a little industry, then we will stay a little industry by not evolving with just the you have to understand your name in the game. If you're a first year event and you're expecting everyone to come for free, you know, and you're not giving anything back, you know, people are going to push back. But I mean, DCBX is here to stay. For event, you know, we love, I mean, like I said, I would think almost any festival I know of, we are always looking. I know some events, it's like you see the same headliners at 20. Like, why would I pay my money to go to that event? So every year we are hunting to find. We actually have this thing called finding the next bachata star. Finding the next, like, we want the young, we want the new dancers because that's the future. For example, like one of my favorite from Mexico, the salseros. Not Bailo Conmigo.
I have no idea.
Well, I can't think of their names, but it'll come.
They know who they are.
Yeah.
But these kids from Guadalajara, it's gonna come.
Oh yes! Oh my God! Yeah. Now I forgot that.
But these kids started so young, and then they're like, you know, and we
Puerto Ritmo.
Puerto Ritmo, thank you, Kat. So Puerto Ritmo,
oh my
like,
gosh.
I mean, have you ever seen some of their routines? There's one routine where the girl's like 7. She's doing that cork.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking.
Puts her leg behind her head.
Yeah. Oh my
down
God.
On the corkscrew.
Wow.
And these kids, like, you know, that's the future of salsa, right? That's the future of all these Latin dances. So again, we don't want to go on a tangent, but if you're young and you're upcoming, you should be looking for opportunities to come to bigger events, but you have to
give the value, you know, like, don't just say, hey, I need to come. No, it's like, what do you have to offer, and that's really where the discussion starts,
right? Because what we put in to our stage to make it look like that, it's an honor, right? And those performances enrich that stage, because without them it's just a piece of wood and LED screens. But at the end of the day, if you're just starting, it's a privilege for you to be on a DCBX stage. And for the Eddie Torres and the stars that come on, yes, they did their dues, they did their time. One of the greatest compliments we ever got was Eddie Torres told us in his 50 years, he said we're one of the top, you know, 3 festivals that the most well organized, is one of the best.
Yes.
And this is a mambo guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a great, and that year we brought Eddie. We brought his the Mambo Legends, his orchestra.
Yeah.
And that was the 10th year, I think we brought. about that.
Yeah,
But anyway, I
next
mean,
time.
we
Yeah.
could write a book on all the things.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate it because again, you're just giving us valuable information and understanding like how much you guys have invested into this and that it's still flourishing, even what we're going through with COVID, and you're still able to reinvent and adapt to the times. The next question I would have, and this is definitely fun, is what would be your superpower?
Ooh, superpower. Ooh. Well, Lee already has one. He's magical.
He's a magician.
He's straight magician.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I just dropped my coffee. I'll get it.
I think for me, it's basically is just my magical creativity, and it's something. Even when I started being a magician, you have to create a routine, but you have to create a story, and you have to, all of that is part of an experience, and I have about 150 domains that we own. I have pushed out so many ideas. So, I think creative, magical entrepreneur is kind of my my ADD greatest gift to the world.
All right.
Yeah. Oh my God, my superpower. Whew. I don't know. Give me a superpower.
I can tell you, your superpower. Your superpower is like organizing and calm. And really.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, I have the easy job because Kat really, you can have the greatest magic in the world. Like, we could have little piggies flying, and people are like, I've never seen piggies flying at a festival before. But if workshops are late and artists aren't in the right room and shows don't start on time, like that is foundation. The house crumbles, the hotel crumbles, the event crumbles. So Kat is she got some glue, yo. She just every crazy damn crazy thing that we're like trying to get things going, and Kat is she has a magical talent, and in many times she doesn't get the credit that she really does deserve. And no, I really do mean that, because you can have a crazy idea, and we obviously have a shitload of crazy ideas, but the execution of the event is what I really think has brought DCBX to the next level, because it's we go
so sweet.
I mean, listen. Like, oh, he's trying to get laid. We've been together 10 years.
I mean,
so, but
he's getting hubby points right
now.
now.
But seriously, like, I look at some of these events, where people are struggling to organize 1 or 2 ballrooms, and if that's the case, you have to really look deep inside and say, maybe this piece of the puzzle is not my piece. I do not fit into that piece of the puzzle, and I need to bring someone in to help. I know I have great ideas, but organizing them and following through sometimes lacks, because you just have a lot going on. That's where Kat's strong point comes in. So if you want to be a great organizer, a great dancer, what is your gift, and how can you maximize that to your potential and the potential to give it back to everyone out there?
Okay, next question would be, out of all the events, and of course, I'd rather you not be biased at this point, but besides the DCBX, what is one Congress festival that you would, if you could just close your eyes and be there right now, what would it be?
Oh, Congress or festival that we'd be at? Oh my gosh. That's hard. We've been to so many. It's kind of like, okay, go backtrack.
Yeah, backtrack. I'm gonna go back to and this is kind of back to the grassroots. Gosha in Warsaw, Poland, around the Poland, the Warsaw, I think they called it the Poland Bachata Festival, Warsaw, Poland. But anyway, but that was such an incredible event. Because it was just, again, it a lot of Europe style events are not in hotels, just because there's not a ton of mega hotels. So it kind of has that kind of like grassroots feel to it. It's a lot more personal, personable, because you have a chance to connect with people, and I have such a love for Poland. So I would say the Poland Bachata Festival, and very close second, and also is when Gabriel and Bego,
that's what I was gonna
the
say.
Sevilla Bachata Festival. in
My
Spain.
God.
Really, we had such incredible times at those festivals.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I mean, in our travels, I think beautiful, unique festivals. I mean, you could, like, every time we did tours, there would be like 2 months straight that we were touring. So yeah.
And I mean, and I don't want to just single out Europe. I think Bacheteando is growing in a great way, and great friend of ours, and we bounce ideas, and I love how he's grown as an organizer, and we all, I mean, we're all learning and growing.
Yeah.
I think what BB and their
the
team
Reno,
is doing in Reno.
They're doing great things.
We haven't been there in a minute just because usually, we have New
We're
Year's,
producing our New
and then after that we kind of are tired, and then Earl has the Resolution Jam, which has been happening for 15 years, which we usually help do production for, which is the first Saturday of January, which usually is Reno. But those are some events that we really do love, and yeah.
All right. Next one, or the second before last, is what is a special talent that many wouldn't know?
A special talent, huh?
Interesting.
I mean, now the cat's out of the bag with Lee.
The magician.
He's an amazing cook. Like, I don't actually cook. Like, like, I've been doing my fair share during quarantine and prepping and stuff. But Lee is an amazing cook. So he, I mean, I could just point that out all day. But now we had the cat's out of the bag because of the Almost a Chef. We created that little group. But yeah.
Yeah, I think my chef skills are probably my
secret talent.
Talent.
And then mine, I guess some people know this, some people don't. But I did go to art school for a stint. So I have like I do actually do video editing, and also a lot of some of the marketing we do it together. So that's something that we do on the side. My little sister, she's actually a female Latina director, and one of the very few, and she's already sold 3 of her movies. So I actually usually am, when she does her movie shoots, like, I'm on set with her as a producer. So that's actually that's another thing where event production and filmography, filming a movie is actually very hard, because you have to be like on your toes. To problem solve really quickly. So I kind of fit really nicely in that.
We're not
in that realm.
We're not one-trick ponies.
Yeah.
I mean, during this whole interview, I definitely believe that from top to bottom. I mean, I think both of you are very well multifaceted. And then the last one here, I love asking, because everybody else has different answers. If you were on an island, what are 3 things that you would have to have with you?
Oh, geez. 3 things. I was on an island. Vodka soda.
Okay. I would probably just say an endless open bar. So in case
an endless open bar.
you're on that island forever, you might get tired of that vodka soda.
Yeah, that's true. What else what else would we bring?
I would bring Kat. Because
I mean, that I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean that like, honestly, I can't imagine going through life. Like, I know people are like, oh, don't get married, but when you find that special someone,
yes,
that is an island by yourself is lonely. It really is. It's paradise. And there are some people that everyone is different. There are some people that are by themselves and happy forever. But I think as a human race, I think people want to be
connected.
They want companion.
Yeah.
So I would say that I would like to have the Bellagio buffet on that island, because that is money. And I'm like, there's nothing there that I think I would like. There's so much there to choose from, and we'd always have have that there. And then I'd probably say like a teleportation device, so we can maybe leave the island.
Okay.
And get a little creative.
Yeah.
This is like the if you got 3 wishes, well, I would want.
Yeah, it's one of those things for sure.
It's like, no, dumbass, you can't get infinite wishes. Flattened,
Right.
So we might have screwed that one up.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. I mean, to be honest, I'm glad you didn't say a TV or a phone, because there's no
right.
anyone that's been on the island realizes you're asking getting good service on the island.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's kind of like a cool $1,200 device that really worked very well.
Yeah. We're very family oriented too. I think we'd want our family.
I was thinking that actually.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, but then it's so funny. I'm like, damn. We love our family, but being on the island. But then if you could teleport their asses in and out.
Back home, and then like I see you when I see you.
Not for you.
Man, but honestly, I thank you guys for doing this quick segment. It definitely was fun learning a little bit more about you both. And now it helps me transition into the present and just really as well as the projects you've been able to work on. But, realizing during the present day of when COVID really came during the beginning of the year, around February and March, realizing that how much it affected our dance community, especially with our events, congresses, socials, you name it. Literally in almost a split second, we went from telling the next person, we'll see you at the next social, to literally being at home for almost 2-3 months at a time, wondering when there'll ever be a dance event again.
Yeah.
And realizing that, seeing that, like yourself, you and Kat, taking that initiative of saying, hey, we're not able to bring the event we would love to do like we normally do, but giving that alternative of having that virtual approach and still thinking about your attendees. And I really commend it a lot, because for me, having this platform, I've been very vocal about our dance community stepping up and being and taking the right precautions, because this type of virus affects us immediately, because what we love is we thrive on connection.
Yeah.
I personally couldn't imagine having a large DCBX event during a pandemic.
Yeah.
In a sense, because we could understand why you would do it, but then realizing you never know, all it takes is one person.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, yeah, and we've gotten some negative comments about a number of things, kind of calling out promoters still doing events. But we, in March, the last event DCBX produced was we were doing a Thursday night event at the Eaton Hotel. That was free, great, beautiful event on the rooftop lounge.
Gorgeous.
And our last event was March 16th. And like everyone, we were preparing that this was going to be pretty bad. One of our team members actually did his master's in infectious disease pandemics. So we kind of had an expert on our side, and he was super concerned about it. And, just like we saw, we have always been pretty good about, I don't want to say predicting the future, but kind of using our gut, our intuition, to kind of almost see what's coming ahead, like a crow or a raven, kind of almost like a premonition, like shit's going to get bad. And March 16th was the last event DCBX produced. And I would say by mid-April, we had made the decision that we would not do any live events through 2020 or until there was a safe vaccine.
Yeah.
And we made it very public. We had a lot more to lose than the average promoter in the city.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not tooting our horn, but we have major hotel contracts across two, not many people have two major events at the same hotel, where we're on the line for hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of hotel rooms. And so we had a lot to lose, but losing one life because of someone that's asymptomatic, and any promoter or anyone that's done an event or did a festival, like the crap they did in Orlando, is just ridiculous. And it's slowing us down. And become a polarized, this is not a Republican Democrat thing. This is just plain stupidity, because at a dance event, and like you said, our industry, people are magnetized to our industry and our community because of the connection. And dancing is a super spreader. We know that. If this was the Spanish flu, which mostly killed people in their 20s and 30s. Yeah. Interesting. These 20 and 30-year-old promoters would be like, shit, we're not risking our lives, but they're willing to risk your grandmother's life or my grandmother's
Right.
Or someone that is immune deficient, and then tell us that this is something they're doing for the community. That's bullshit, straight up bullshit. Any of those promoters, I hope people remember. And like I said, someone commented, like, we called out the Orlando Festival, and I'll say it, the event that Christian did, and they're like, oh, we're just jealous. I mean, DCBX, like, I won't even get into that, but my point is, it's like, it's just crazy to me that people still decide to do live events. And you made the statement, and I, for the most part, DC stood together. There were some events that happened. Quickly, we had multiple cases of COVID. And I've heard through the grapevine in other cities, like, these dancers, they're calling it like the COVID club because they all got it.
Yeah.
And they think like it's a magic, but ultimately they're saying after 3 months, after the 3-month mark, you have about a 90% immunity. And then after that, no one knows.
Exactly.
So we were, I don't mean to kind of go negative, but anyone doing a dance event to me is risking lives. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So we were like, we have to do virtual events and we have to keep the scene alive. And right there, we looked at it basically like, how can we bring new people to the scene and how can we keep the scene happy? So back in April, we started 2 events. We had 2 virtual. We had Gringos Can Dance, which basically is online courses, really teaching beginners, new people. And we figured there'd be a lot of people quarantined by themselves. So we have over 90 videos at Gringos Can Dance. And then we have Flirting on the Floor.
Yeah, Flirting on the Floor is a way for couples to get started in dancing. So like, these products are just for the average person that's just getting their feet wet kind of in it, and they want to do something productive. I mean, we're all home, one, there's no, of course our events are going to continue, all this passes, but at least to get people like still connecting, in some fashion.
Yeah. And even with Flirting on the Floor, we were like, think about it. Not every couple, like sometimes in couples, like one person will love to go to Latin dance festivals, but the other person doesn't dance. So we're like, when we create a course that teaches merengue, bachata, and salsa that can bring couples together, kind of like a living room Latin dance date night. So we did that in May. And then in July, beginning of August and end of July, we did DCBX Virtual 12, which was crazy. It was like starting fresh because we're DCBX, we were like, how can we create that same incredible experience but virtually?
Yeah.
So we did DCBX Virtual. We had close to 1,000 people, come on throughout the 3 days and be part of that event. And then literally about 2 weeks ago, we launched DCBX On Demand. And and I think DCBX On Demand for us was like, how can we not only keep ourselves moving and keep people dancing, but keep these instructors, in
the scene. I mean, imagine if like all the instructors, there's no events and there's no places to teach, like if they all stopped dancing and got like, full-time jobs 9 to 5, like where would our dance So
a lot of them are.
A lot of them are doing that exact thing. So we gave our instructors an awesome opportunity to be part of the platform and then also get continued revenue from that too, while also supporting, supporting the platform. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. We have several artists up there in all the genres.
Great artists.
And it's just 10 minutes. You just learn, it's their 10 favorite moves. And then every month they add the freshest moves that's current. And then it helps the advanced dancer. Hey, like I already know how to do a body roll, but like, let me see how Azelle and Cindy do and add their spin on it. Let me see how, Jenny Geska, does her samba and like,
right. Or Mark and Melissa from Brazil, how they do their zoom, or how to
and what's the most important thing for us was like, what's the most current? Yes, we're in quarantine right now. Like we're, like what is the most current that they're practicing at home? It's
and we were very vigilant about making this a platform that not only was going to help DCBX, but also help these artists. And all the artists were paid for their content, and all of them have their own marketing, and we are splitting 50-50 with anything that they produce. So we, and it's $10 a month, but again, we want people to sign up for this, enjoy it, support the scene, but know if they go through their artist affiliate link that they're supporting that artist as well. And it's your 10 favorite moves, $10 a month, taught in 10 minutes or less. So literally, you can go in, you can watch. You could go to the DCBX, DCBXondemand.com, sign up, get 7 free days. So that's nice. And
learn all the moves you can if you're intermediate. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was really created to kind of keep the intermediate dancers flourishing and keep the scene, because flirting on the floor and Gringos Can Dance, we knew the scene was going to lose people, and it's just the nature of the beast. So we're like, how can we think a little outside the box in a safe virtual way and be able to give a product, Gringos Can Dance, kind of playing on some fun and comedy, the flirting on the floor, like print a coupon. I mean, this is a crazy story. We had a chat come in, and this guy messaged, it's after hours, admin's not answering. This was like 3 nights ago. Actually, when we were playing Bossa Nova. And, like,
on a
so the chat comes in, and of course it comes to me, small business, and he's like, "Hey, my IP address is blocking the thing," and I'm like, bro, I've never, like, we have 800 people on Gringos. Flirting on the floor.
This is weird.
I've never seen this. I'm like, you might have to log into another device. And he literally messaged back. He's like, "Bro, you're really screwing up my date night." And it was so funny to me, but
I was so encouraged to help him out.
So we were able to help him reset his IP. I don't know what he was looking at before the but beyond that, it's we're excited about it, and we really, this hot sauce, the Gringuito sauce with the first hot sauce that's going to teach people the Latin dance. We're mixing our products. So if you go to DCBX On Demand, you can also get the Shake That Up monthly $8.95 Gringuito sauce sent to you. Just like when people are buying Gringuito sauce, we're going to give them an option to maybe not for DCBX On Demand, because we figure that's, kind of more advanced dancer. But again, back to that funnel. If we can bring in people that like hot sauce, and 5% of them are like, "Oh, wow, I would like to learn how to my loved one," and then all of a sudden they're in that funnel, and send them a little promotion like, "Hey, why don't you come to this?" Because for us, the way DCBX has grown is, we at one point we were producing 14 parties a week in DC. They're down a little bit, but we had our Sunday, we had Wednesdays, we had multiple nights. So our nights were the way, no one just is going to be like, "Oh yeah, DCBX. Oh yeah, I'm going to drop $1,000, fly there, pay $600 for the hotel." And they've never seen our brand. 7 times someone has to experience your brand before they are going to technically pay for something.
Right.
So now, if we don't have live events, how are we connecting to people 7 times? They buy a hot sauce. Maybe they see some of these free virtual parties we've been doing on, online. Just, we did a salsa and bachata rock the vote party that was free. We weren't saying vote one way or the other. We were saying, hey, as a community, and as I mentioned earlier, we believe like everyone is welcome at DCBX. When you dance with someone, it's about that experience, and we can't be putting people down because they believe in one thing or another. I mean, we work together as a community and move forward.
Absolutely. And now really understanding what you've kind of been through these present days, and at least before we do conclude, understanding what do you feel is the future of our dance scene, maybe even a year or 2 from now. As organizers, these are definitely questions I always love asking, because you guys are helping continue the pulse of our scene. So it's always great to understand, what do you think?
I mean, we're looking forward to doing our August event next year. I mean, I think that's something that, we've had time to kind of sit and be like, okay, like what, like now we literally got the year off, we didn't, when it was May, June, July, and then August hit when we did our virtual. I mean, it was something where it was just very reflective. It was like, oh my God, okay, it's not happening. Now we can push our energies other ways. But we are looking forward to doing our events next year. I mean, the vaccine and all that is definitely on our priority list. We're always watching the news and making sure. But priority is like safety. I mean, we have to do this, and everyone has to do this really in a safe manner so that we don't lose any lives. And that's been our goal.
Yeah. And I think, I think our scene is gonna evolve. I think I hate to put it this way, but it's gonna be survival of the fittest. That might not be such a bad thing because the scene was getting crowded with
oversaturated.
It was getting very saturated. People kind of just copying ideas. And, now it's like, look, the people that I feel like the brands that did the right thing, didn't do their events, tried to do things that were creative. Like we mentioned earlier in this interview, at least at DCBX and I think other promoters, the virtual component, I think this has all taught us something, maybe the future of DCBX, we could have 5 or 10,000 people, in DC, but you could have 100,000 people around the world tuning in for Prince Royce, or you could have, you can have people in different cities being part of a DCBX kind of experience, get to the US, right? Between visas, expenses. So how can we, if we can affect 50,000 people, how can we affect 500,000 people? How can we affect 5 million people? And we can do that by looking at, again, taking the negative of this COVID-19 and looking at it as a positive, as a positive. And I think the one thing I've learned and just these projects that we've done, the garden, this crazy garden we built, this hot sauce. I mean, but you can have the greatest ideas in the world. My buddy Ramsey has a course, and in it, it's so important about understanding your container. Meaning, you have to be able to take what you have and put it into a container. And that container that's where the magic is. So even with this hot sauce or the garden, right? The garden, we're building this garden, but you can't plant anything in it that deers and other things are going to go eat until you put the fence up. Until you put the stakes. Until you make sure the trees aren't there so there could be sun. The hot sauce, right? It's like all of this energy and knowledge that we have is going to go into this 5-ounce bottle. So for everyone that's trying to figure out what they want to do now, think about what your container is, or how you can, we all have leaks in our containers, right? You can patch them, maybe get a bigger container, maybe get a smaller container, or maybe just stop the flow of water and just look at where you are. And DCBX is always going to push forward. Will DCBX 13 be our biggest year? Yes. Will it be the most people we ever had at the Renaissance? Maybe, maybe not. But if we can't have as many people because we can't do it as safely, we will make sure that we will create a hybrid virtual / a live experience. If you go to dcbchapter.com right now to buy passes, one of the passes we have on there is called DCBX Rewind, DCBX 13 Rewind. For another $50, we contractually, surprise artists, you'll get this contract, but artists, and other promoters sure take this idea. Have them do like a 5-minute video with our crew of an exit of the move. Like at DCBX last year, we had 200 workshops, sometimes 8 an hour.
Yeah.
So the average person, you got to sleep at some point. They're going to maybe see 20% or something. Come for the party aspect that really want to kind of have fun. They may go to a few workshops, but for $50, you could go on and have lifetime access. You're not going to get the whole class, but again, you're going to get to kind of get a 5-minute synopsis, like Cliff Notes. So we're already right now having a virtual option. And there might be people in other parts of the world that might be like, hey, we can't get to DCBX, but we would like to, now it's $50. It'll probably be more as we get closer, but for $50, they can literally experience, most of those workshops. So I think our scene will grow. And I think those of us in the industry that are smart, that continue to push us forward, that will continue to evolve our scene, will help, and make it bigger and look at it. If you want to play with the big boys, and the big girls, like you have to play. So we need to do better as an industry. We need to get sponsorships. We should be getting big sponsorships like ballroom events. We should be getting big sponsorships like these other festivals, And the only way we're going to do that is realizing our value and propelling it forward. You know,
Absolutely, and
president. God damn it.
I mean, to be honest, I think honestly, from start to finish, what I really loved is just the transparency and honesty. That's something I've really appreciated having you both on, because as organizers, but as people of the community that you've been for so many years, see how much that you love it, that how much you've invested in it, your own personal time, your money, your efforts, being able to help the community itself, and having volunteers, people coming in, taking time out of their lives to help within your event to make it bigger and better every year. Just hearing about the journey you've been through, good and bad, even now what we've been going through, of you looking towards what is best for the community first rather than the financial gain. It means so much, but hearing it from the people themselves is even better, because we can see it through a Facebook post. But when you hear it from the people themselves of how much they've invested and what they really see is for the benefit, and doing things like virtual events that still can have, again, even more of a reach than we ever know. Because like you said, you can have 5,000 physical people, bodies at these events, but who's to say with this virtual, you can't reach 100,000, 5 million, 500,000. So for me, I love that, especially with DCBX. You, Lee, and Kat have always been pushing the envelope and continue to push it, realizing the potential that it can only get better, but also realizing that even though you do have competition, they are looking more at you to see what they can do better. And that right there is great recognition, and for me, it's been a blessing, an honor to actually have you on tonight, because for me, hearing about your events, but also now realizing what you had to do in order to create this such successful event you've had over these past 10 plus years. I mean, many other people, it can never be duplicated, honestly. I mean, the DCBX, like you said, to be honest, truly is one of the top 10 events in the world. I mean, when you have people from Sevilla, all the way people from France talking about this, friends of mine from across the world talk about it. I mean, there's something special there. And, again, I'm grateful that I can have you on tonight. But at least before we go, if you guys have any last words and contact information on how they can reach you, and also with the DCBX On Demand.
Sure. Yeah. DCBXOnDemand.com is our newest platform, and it's awesome. You guys can get your 7-day trial for free, and then after that, it's just $10 a month. We have some amazing artists, so check those out. And we have all the genres on there. So salsa, kizomba, and zouk. And
we'll be adding new artists. Yeah,
and we will be adding new artists. So artists, contact us. We're always open.
Yeah. And you don't have to ask us to fly you in and just give you a hotel. So we're already on the same page.
We're already looking good. Yeah.
And so we also have, of course, tickets on sale for DCBX 13, and check it out. Hey, thank you very much, Sterling. We appreciate that. And DCBXchapter.com, you can get your passes for DCBX 13. If for some reason you can't make it, we actually have dates posted all the way, I believe, to DCBX 18.
Yes.
So we're always the last week in August, and check that out. If you have any new people that want to learn to dance, you can go to gringoscandance.com, which really is for people that might be by themselves during quarantine, or someone that maybe is an introvert and maybe doesn't feel comfortable just going out to classes or even virtual classes.
Yeah.
FloatingOnTheFloor.com is our couples
date night.
And you can go to ShakeThatUp.com
for
our hot sauces, which will be coming out within the next couple weeks. We're super excited, as it's our first physical product that we're producing. So it's a little bit of a pivot, but if you don't evolve, you die. So we're excited about continuing to try different things and push things forward. So you can follow us on Instagram at DCBX Events.
And at DCBX Live if you're local to DC. And hopefully, we're anticipating that we'll be doing events, as soon as all this clears up, safely.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my boy Michael in San Fran. Michael was someone that we started talking with, and this is kind of shows you the power of community. Like, we were doing DCBX virtual, and Antonio Bliss, we're like, of course, we want live music, right? So we're like, we need a virtual concert of some sort. So, it's like, all right, Antonio Bliss is going to do a sax chopper concert. By the way, we were the first to do that. We were also the first one, and there was a little rival, but last time we had the sax concert, we had Neander
Lima
and Antonio Bliss on stage together. They battled.
Wow. Both did.
It was incredible. But anyway, we needed someone to produce it, and then Antonio Bliss was like, "You gotta contact my boy Michael," and then Michael produced it, and then he basically helped. He was part of DCBX Virtual, and he just came in and he's incredible. You guys are in San Fran.
Shout out, Michael.
I'm going to give him a shout out. Check out Tuba Shot the Radio. He's doing some incredible things. Again, here's someone, and there's many leaders in our scene that is like, hey, how can we continue to keep people interested and involved and keep coming back? And we need more of those people that are doing it in a safe way, like yourself, Diamond.
Yes.
And we really appreciate you. Your platform and giving us a chance to just spread a little love, and I'm gonna say how it is at the end of the day, because look, it's like you can say how it is, or you can just kind of go to the other side, but it's like, no, that's how it is. You can take it or leave it, but we do appreciate it, bro, and thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
No, absolutely. I mean, for me, being a part of the community, I would say going back to '96 and growing within it, and being able to travel throughout the years, and actually now getting the chance to speak to these organizers that hold these events that so many of us love, but also now having the conversations with people like yourselves and realizing the human aspect, because I think, again, throughout the years, all these events, people have almost preconceived notions on what they think people are or should be. Right. So for me to love this scene for so many years, what it's been able to give me, but also now having the chance to have a platform, to have people like you on, so you can share your story from your point of view, your perspective, and your honesty without anyone else telling your story for you, I think is most important. But also you just being completely honest and transparent about how or what you feel means even more, because it just shows that, again, that you're for our community rather than just looking for a financial pickup. And again, I appreciate both of you taking the time. I mean, this interview has went by so fast, and it's already over 2 hours. And to be honest, I love it, because I say this before we go, is that this is the type of information and media that we're going to have long after we're gone. So people can realize the people behind DCBX, what were their true intentions, what do they look forward to, and also the key information that both of you have given myself, but also future organizers. Because a lot of people always say, help us. Well, right here, you've been given tips and tools throughout the night. So
insurance.com. That's all I got to say.
All right. But again, I thank you guys so much. Like I tell all of my guests, this is our first interview, but hopefully won't be our last. And I'd love to reach out back in around January, February, seeing what DCBX has in store. I'll definitely be sharing any new events or things you'll be having. But again, I thank you so much for taking your time out there in DC. And again, I hope you're staying safe, and I definitely can't wait for our next interview.
Diamond, thank you so much. Big hearts, bro. And,
absolutely.
I hope you're a Mets and Jets fan, but anyway.
I'm a Mets fan, and I'm a Giants fan.
New York sports is terrible right now, so we don't.
I mean, we got the Nets, hopefully. So hopefully things are a little better. But, guys, thank you again. We'll definitely be in touch. Everyone, please check out DCBX On Demand, as well as the Gringuito sauce is coming out on shakeitup.com. Yeah. But again, thank you all for tuning in tonight, for your feedback as well. Lee and Kat, check out the comments people have been leaving as well under it. But again, thank you so much, and definitely can't wait to talk again.
Cool. Thank you, Diamond.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.